Okay, welcome into Teal Tuesday. On Teal Tuesday, we try to really concentrate on the Jaguars, put a day to the side. Till Tuesday, it's actually Tuesday now. About 7:38 in the morning when we're recording this. 55 double nickels, 55 degrees in Jacksonville, Florida. Clouds, still about a 50% chance of some lingering rain, but we're going to see gradual clearing. High temperatures, low 70s today. Going to get a little cooler tonight. Lows in the upper 40s this evening in North Florida. Talking about the Jaguars, they have introduced and the press conference has taken place. I've seen it. James Gladstone, the new general manager, saying all the right things. He's got a vocabulary, doesn't he? A lot of power words. And he's got a list of he's he's using the English language to a new operative, you might say. He's a young guy. I believe he's a very intelligent guy, and I believe he's learned a lot from Les Snead, the general manager of the Los Angeles Rams. There's no doubt. He talked about Les Snead during the press conference. Ladies and gentlemen, we've talked about Les Snead for probably the last 2 months, 2.5 months, when we knew Balky needed to be fired. My opinion, there's a lot of people excited right now. There were even people saying that Shad Khan has hit a home run with these hires. Not just Gladstone, but, Liam Cohen. And, of course, Liam Cohen is hiring assistant coaches, offensive coordinator. The new OC is Grant Udinski, 29-year-old guy out of Minnesota. He was an assistant quarterback coach with Minnesota, but he is a guy that was being raved about helping the Vikings quarterback situation, and he's been around in the league already a few years. It's a young staff. I don't think Gladstone, Liam Cohen want to lean on that and talk about that as much as is really what they want to do, run the team. And that's what they're going to do. Liam Cohen, the head coach. You've got Gladstone introduced as a new general manager. He's never been a general manager before, but he has spent 8 years in the Los Angeles Rams operation with Les Snead, the GM. I mean, this guy really went up the ranks with the Rams, where I think he was making draft picks the last couple of years. And, the Rams had traded some draft picks. So, man, when they made a draft pick, they had to make it count, and they did. I think Les Snead drafts well. I think this guy, James, did I forget the guy's name? Man, I can't do that. Gladstone, right? Young guy, we're going to get used to saying his name, general manager James Gladstone. He's going to be here for at least 4 years. So is Liam Cohen. People are telling Shad Khan, some people are telling Shad Khan that he's hit a home run with these hires. And I believe Shad Khan believes the same thing. And I am pulling for these guys. I've been rooting for the Jacksonville Jaguars since 1993. I've been rooting for this city to get a team, and they did get a team awarded to Jacksonville in November of 1993 and started playing the regular season games in 1995, and I've been through it all. As covering the team, a fan of the team, originally from the city of Jacksonville, and I moved back to Jacksonville about 12 years ago. So that's kind of where we are. General Manager James, gosh, am I going to have to get used to this guy's got one of these names that for me sometimes is hard to remember. I don't know why. Gladstone, right? Now, the people saying that Shad Khan hit a home run, well, they're excited. They want something to latch on to. The Jaguars were 4-13 in 2024. 4 absolutely. Yeah, you can get excited about something new, and there's no doubt about that. Gladstone, as you know, is the new GM. By the way, we got stuff on the website at bigjreport.com. We, did talk a little bit about the new regime with the Jaguars now, which I believe is a good thing. Changes had to be made. Were they the right changes? We might not know for 4 years. I hope Gladstone. I mean, I think the goal by a long time turn the Jacksonville Jaguars into a successful franchise. If he does that, he'll stay here long term, or he may move on. But that's the goals of success. But now this is in the very infancy of all of this. Gladstone's going to be here at least 4 years. And as far as transitioning to a team winning a lot of games, it could happen. It may take a while. It may never happen. I mean, I'm gonna. I got to make sure I'm looking at the right stuff here. Boy, how about Carson Beck, Jacksonville, Florida native Carson Beck, Miami. Insider confirms injury status is part of Mario Cristobal's concerns, the head coach of Miami Florida Hurricanes. So we'll see how Carson Beck does, especially he's got to get healthy for 2025 to play college ball. James Gladstone, he was with the Los Angeles Rams for a solid 8 years, 2016 to 2024. And he moved up the ranks. Before he left the Rams, he had built up. As of 2016, he became the senior assistant to the general manager. Means he was Les Snead's right-hand man. In 2018, senior assistant to the general manager, player personnel coordinator, and director of scouting 2019. And during this time, the Rams, during Gladstone's time in Los Angeles with the Rams won 4 NFC Western Division titles, appeared in the postseason 6 times, and even won a Super Bowl. And you guys know the goal. The goal for me, and I've discussed this, I have discussed my goals for the Jacksonville Jaguars, which during Liam Cohen's initial 4 years, which is going to be new general manager James Gladstone's 4 years too. They're coming in essentially together now, right? That's what they're doing. This is what it comes down to. It doesn't matter whether you're young or old. It comes down to wins and losses. And I could pull out this thing. There was a post on social media. It showed up in the Big J Report Facebook group as well. The last 10 first round draft picks for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Look at this right now. I mean, Brian Thomas Jr. was a home run, it appears, in 2024. Balky picked him. Balky took a big chance trading back. But now keep in mind the Jacksonville Jaguars, it's been confirmed they have 10 picks in this draft where young James Gladstone, the new general manager for the Jacksonville Jaguars, but he's drooling over 10 picks in the NFL draft in late April of 2025. I was thinking about what Tom Coughlin would say, what he might be thinking in terms of this new general manager who's 34 years old. And I think Tom honestly would say, and I don't want to speak for Tom Coughlin, but I think he would honestly say the young man has an opportunity. Talking about general manager James Gladstone. When we take a look at these draft picks, and we're talking about, not the last 10 years, because the Jaguars, there was a couple of years they had 2 picks in the first round, I believe, due to trades when they traded Jalen Ramsey to the Rams. They turned one of those draft picks into K'Lavon Chaisson. And actually, Tom Coughlin was not a part of that. When there were good draft picks, Tom Coughlin was a part of it during the general manager Dave Codwell regime. We take a look at the last 10 first round draft picks. In 2024, Brian Thomas Jr. appears to be a home run. Rookie wide receiver, over 1,200 yards receiving, caught multiple touchdown passes, and he's a guy that the offense can grow around along with Trevor Lawrence if Trevor can get healthy. You need offensive linemen in the draft. You've got your potential number one wide receiver now. Draft offensive linemen. And a cool thing I have heard, and I kept on social media, I kept telling these people that want to draft a wide receiver early in the draft and all of this. I think the guy, the Heisman Trophy winner, will probably be gone by the third pick, probably to the Giants. You need offensive linemen. And the same people on social media that I had kind of gotten into disagreements with, they posted something. Hey, Scott, you were right. Liam Cohen and Tony Baselli are on the same accord. They want to build the line, the offensive line, the defensive line. And I think that is great to build the offensive line. Back to the last 10 first round draft picks by the Jacksonville Jaguars. These are the last 10 first round picks. Brian Thomas Jr. In 2024, he went and was selected at 23rd overall in the first round. The Jags had traded back from 18 to 23, and our guy was still there. Fortunately for Trent Baalke, where things might have been even, could they be any worse? They could have. Brian Thomas Jr. was a guy that, man, this we're counting on. The Jacksonville Jaguars and me are counting on Brian Thomas Jr. to be the number one wide receiver moving into year two. We've all heard of the word sophomore slumps. I guess that's two words, actually, sophomore slump, but we don't want that. Brian Thomas Jr., he was the latest first round pick. Then you go down to Anton Harrison back in 2023. He's been okay. He's been injured a good bit off and on. He's got a lot of potential. He's even a guy that we've heard players, former Jags players say, hey, Anton Harrison could move from right tackle to left tackle. Okay. So I'm going to say Brian Thomas Jr. is an A selection. Anton Harrison, at this point, I'd say a B minus. Trayvon Walker, I'm going to be kind. I'm going to say a C. The problem with Trayvon, he's been a good to nice player. 10 sacks, 10 and a half sacks the last 2 years. But we need to see more. Need more havoc caused. Need more havoc from Trayvon Walker, a number one, not just a first round draft pick, a number one overall first round draft pick. So we need to see more tackles, more havoc, more domination out of Trayvon Walker. And he's moving into his fourth year. So I'm going to call that a C. Because I will tell you this, the guy that is in charge right now with the Jacksonville Jaguars, the new executive vice president of football operations, Tony Baselli. I heard Tony Baselli say probably 15 or 20 minutes before that draft in 2022 when Trayvon Walker was selected. I heard Tony Baselli and one other former Jaguars player who is highly thought of. They both thought the pick was going to be an offensive lineman, and it was not. Out of these last 10 first-round draft picks, there's been one offensive lineman selected, and that was Anton Harrison. So I'm not going to grade all these guys. Trayvon Walker is a nice player, a good player, a player with potential, speed, size, a big guy, strong guy, who probably should be playing more inside. Eric Armstead, who was signed as a free agent last year, he's already proclaimed saying he wants to play more inside. So you need to see a better year out of your free agent, Eric Armstead. But we're talking draft picks right now. Trayvon Walker, defensive end slash offense slash defensive end slash outside linebacker, edge player, what I'm trying to say. He was drafted number one overall in 2022. I'm going to say it's a C. We hope the C will rise, though. Devin Lloyd's a player that was drafted late in the first round, but he was a first round pick. Balky moved up, selected Devin Lloyd. He's been somewhat of a disappointment, got potential. The last 2 games, he seemed to kind of save himself, though. He got a sack and an interception during each of the last 2 games. He ended up with an interception and then a sack in the last couple of games. So Devin Lloyd, we started seeing a little bit of something out of Devin Lloyd that was good late in the year. He was a 2022 first-round draft pick like Trayvon Walker was. Those guys still have potential, but they're both moving into their 4th year. Trevor Lawrence has been injured the last 2 years. He was drafted number 1 overall in 2021 when Urban Meyer was in Jacksonville. Keep in mind that Trevor Lawrence, he's still got a world of potential, but he's been hurt the last 2 years. You got to draft offensive linemen. There's only been 1 offensive lineman selected in the first round in the last 10 first-round picks by the Jacksonville Jaguars. Trevor Lawrence, man, it's hard to grade him. He's got a lot of potential. Can I say something better about him? Yes, I would say the draft pick was substantially important. I mean, this is a guy that was always touted as a generational quarterback. But right now, I'm going to be kind to Trevor Lawrence like I was to Trayvon Walker, and I'm going to say a B- for Trevor Lawrence. He's already gotten the huge contract, the big contract. Trayvon Walker is going to be wanting a huge contract after his 4th year. So Trevor Lawrence is a guy, but you got to keep this in mind. Trevor Lawrence is a player that 31 out of the 32 general managers would have selected number 1 overall. Maybe one guy wouldn't, but 31 out of 32 general managers would have selected Trevor Lawrence number 1 overall in the 2021 draft. Travis Etienne has been disappointing. He's really shown flashes of being a potential good to great running back. He's had injuries, as you know, especially in his first year. He's now moving into his 5th year. And the Jaguars, balky, when they signed Trevor Lawrence to the 5th year option, they did the same thing with Travis Etienne. So Travis Etienne, if he's still on this roster, when the dust settles in 2025, he'll be playing on the 5th year option. So some of these guys, not all these guys have shined. I think Etienne can be a good player if he's healthy, gets his head on right. I think he's always been a good team guy. And he can be an exciting player at times when we talk about Travis Etienne, number 1. Now we get into really some issues here. Here's some other guys going back in time. C.J. Henderson might just be a nutcase. He's still bouncing around the NFL. He got traded by the Jaguars to the Panthers. He's not on the Panthers anymore, but he's still in the league. C.J. Henderson was not a good pick. He was picked high in the first round by Dave Codwell. I think he was a top 10 pick, right? Maybe around 9th or so. C.J. Henderson out of Florida has been disappointing. There were people saying he had possibly some mental issues. I don't know that for a fact, but that's what some people were saying. He's bounced around. A first round pick is not supposed to bounce around like he has. C.J. Henderson is an American professional football cornerback now with the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's only 26 years old. And so the thing is, the Pittsburgh Steelers say, hey, this is a first round draft pick. And that's what they do. Pittsburgh will go find a guy that was a first round pick and hope the light switch switches on, right? Jacksonville Jaguars only 2020 to 2021. Carolina Panthers, the Jags made a trade. He spent with the Carolina Panthers, C.J. Henderson, 2021 to 2023, Houston Texans, 2024, and then later in 2024 joined the Pittsburgh Steelers in 2024, and looks like he'll probably be on their roster in 2025 unless they move him. Pittsburgh likes to grab guys like that, and I don't know how the contract worked out. Did the Jags have to pay more of that contract? I don't think they did, but I'll tell you, C.J. Henderson was a disappointing guy. You could have been drafting some offensive linemen along this time. The Jags need offensive linemen on rookie deals. C.J. Henderson was a bust in Jacksonville. He's still in the league. I would have to compare him a little bit to Taven Bryan. I believe Taven Bryan, last I heard, he was with the Colts, but he was drafted late in the first round back in 2018. At best, you could say Taven Bryan was a fourth-round talent. On the other hand, Trayvon Walker in my mind, might be a second or third-round talent. Obviously, Walker's got better numbers, 10 sacks, 10.5 sacks the last 2 years. K'Lavon Chaisson still in the league, bouncing around on a couple of different teams after the Jaguars. And he was not a very good first-round pick. Obviously not a first-round talent. Maybe a guy that you could say was a fifth-round talent or a sixth-round talent. I don't know. Probably fifth round or a little higher. The best guy drafted defensively. Yeah, and we've talked about all these defensive players, right? We've talked about all of them. Josh Hines-Allen, drafted in the first round, kind of fell to the Jaguars, and I believe this was a Tom Coughlin pick in 2019. Coughlin was at that time still, I'm pretty sure he was still the executive vice president at that time, Josh Hines-Allen. I'll have to go back and take a look at some timelines. Josh Hines-Allen has been the best of these defensive draft picks. He's gotten the huge contract. He stayed with the Jaguars. He's got a huge, big contract, but we need to see more tackles, more havoc, more domination. I saw him at times playing hard when I thought maybe other defenders were not. I saw him going from the right side of the field to the left side of the field, making the tackle on Trayvon Walker's side. Josh Hines-Allen has been the best defensive draft pick, and I'm talking about first-round picks because we know there was Tyson Campbell was atop the second round. We're just talking about first-round picks right now. Josh Hines-Allen, a good player. His sack total fell from like 17.5 until 8 last year. Had some injury issues, didn't even play in the last game. And I think the potential is there for more from Josh Hines-Allen. Is that all of the picks? Did we go through all of them? The last 10 first-round picks, Brian Thomas Jr., Anton Harrison, Trayvon Walker. I know I've been a little brutal to some of these guys. Devin Lloyd, Trevor Lawrence, Travis Etienne back in 2021 along with Trevor Lawrence. C.J. Henderson in 2020. That was a disaster by Dave Codwell. So was K'Lavon Chaisson. Those were 2 first-round picks in 2020. That was the COVID year, right? C.J. Henderson and K'Lavon Chaisson no longer on the roster. Both of these guys have bounced around the league after leaving the Jaguars. C.J. Henderson was traded to the Panthers, and I think K'Lavon Chaisson just was not offered another contract, and he went to another team and got on a 1-year deal with somebody else. So Josh Hines-Allen has been the best of these last 10 first-round draft picks as far as defensive players, and there's a slew of defensive players, and there was only one offensive lineman drafted in the last 10 first-round picks by the Jacksonville Jaguars. They got to go to the well, get offensive linemen. I'm going to say Will Campbell, offensive tackle. My executive producer has said this, that he likes offensive tackle Will Campbell out of LSU. I do too. The Jags are going to need an offensive guard in this upcoming draft. They're going to need a defensive tackle and probably another cornerback, at least somewhere in the first 3 to 4 rounds. But the Jags are going to have 10 picks in the draft. East Coast Hockey League, the Jacksonville Icemen playing great hockey. I just want to tell you how great they're playing. And they got a lot of home games coming up in the next few weeks before the regular season comes to an end and they get into the East Coast Hockey League playoffs. But the Jacksonville Icemen are 32-16-3. Rick Springfield is coming to Northeast Florida. It's going to be a night of 80s. John Wade, Wang Chung will be able to say, Bill, go to bigjreport.com in the Neighbors 2 section. Take a look at, and you scroll down in the Neighbors 2 section and take a look at the concerts coming up throughout North Florida, throughout North Florida and surrounding areas. This has been TEAL Tuesday. We did take a look at all these darn draft picks from Taven Bryan, Josh Hines Allen, Caleb Chason, CJ Henderson, Travis Etienne, Trevor Lawrence, Devin Lloyd, Trayvon Walker, Anton Harrison, and Brian Thomas Jr. Injuries do come into play. If you can't get on the field, that does, hurt you in the minds of the fans, the coaches, and you know how that works. These are all Jacksonville Jaguars first-round picks. Some of these guys might have been a Tom Coughlin guy. I think Josh Hines Allen was. I think Taven Bryan was a mistake by Tom Coughlin and Dave Codwell collectively, late first round, because it comes down to this. Taven just never turned out to be a first-round talent, maybe a fourth-round talent. We talk about Trayvon Walker, a better player, obviously, than Taven Bryan. Really more athletic ability, more skills, more strength, I believe. Trayvon Walker, in my mind, is more of a second or third round talent that was drafted numero uno by the Jacksonville Jaguars in 2022 by one Trent Baalke. Trevor Lawrence was actually a pick, I think, by Urban Meyer. Urban Meyer had the power, I believe, over Trent Baalke, at least for that 1 year or less than 1 year. Trevor Lawrence and Etienne were both first-round picks. They've both been pretty good, but they both had injury issues, and injury issues are a big part of the NFL. I want to thank you for watching TEAL Tuesday today. The key thing with the new general manager, Gladstone, I wish him all the success in the world. I'm rooting for him, head coach Liam Cohen, and I think Tony Bazzelli, the new executive vice president of football operations, can keep this thing together and be the experienced glue to keep this young group together. Talking about the new young head coach, Liam Cohen, the general manager, James Gladstone, I wish these guys well. My goal for this whole group would be at least a minimum of two playoff appearances over the next 4 years. That's going to do it for TEAL Tuesday. I'm your host, Scott, on the Teal Shirt Report podcast from bigjreport.com. We're brought to you by Salsa Realty and Capital, the Mad Max Mix, .weebly.com, JC's Live from the Pub Show on LakeUfallahits.com. Great internet radio where it's all good. And again, for your real estate needs, for your real estate needs in North Florida and surrounding areas, Salsa Realty and Capital, whether it's home, residential, business, or commercial real estate, remember Salsa Realty and Capital. Go to our website. On the homepage, there's a link for Salsa Realty and Capital at bigjreport.com. Likewise, there's links for the madmaxmix.weebly.com and the other internet radio shows like Live from the Pub with JC on Thursday nights at LakeUfallahits.com. Scroll our website. You'll find links to our sponsors on our website. We've been eloquently produced by our executive producer, JC, also by Alex Nunnery. Special thanks to our contributor and correspondent, John Gaylor. This has been TEAL Tuesday. I'm your host, Scott. We're out of here under 30 minutes. Executive producer,